Of course, it's Chiefs Day across Kansas City. Welcome in just after 9 o'clock. Of course, Arrowhead's going to be bumping this afternoon, getting set to roll out that Super Bowl banner. And then, of course, it's the Lions game tonight to open up the NFL season. In a former world, of course, a former time in my life, I did spend almost 10 years in sports radio before making the move over to the news side of things. And, I thought it was, honestly, when it comes to syndicated national sports radio, Mike and Mike was cream of the crop. And then, of course, Mike Golic Jr. joined the father on the show. And now they're doing their own thing. And they're rocking and rolling on the DraftKings network, Gojo and Golic. It airs from 7 to 9 our time at DraftKingsNetwork.com and Samsung TV Plus. We're happy to have a father and son duo joining us here on KCMO Talk Radio in Kansas City. Gentlemen, thanks so much for being on KCMO. We appreciate it. Let's start with you, Mike Sr. How are you?
I'm doing well, and I would like to ask you, you'd be impartial about this. So when Mike and I started talking about doing the show together, somehow or another, a guy who's been in the business for close to 30 years, I couldn't get my name first. Do you think there's a problem with that?
Well, I think you must have a bad agent, Mike Sr. That's all I can gather out of that. You gotta have a little more sway in your own household with the kid, right?
Yeah, we have the same agent. He obviously loves Mike a little more than me.
Let's go to Junior. Hey, Mike, welcome into KCMO. So how did you pull off the first name over the old man?
I mean, it was my show first. Like, I don't.
Oh, wow.
When I first got to DraftKings, I started doing a show called Gojo. It was a podcast that then became a part of the DraftKings network. And then Dad, after he was, done kind of hemming and hawing, decided, he actually wanted to work every day again. And so then he came in and thought he could just jam his name in first. I'm like, brother, listen, I respect what you have done, but you're walking into my house now, so please take off your shoes and don't spill anything.
Oh, boy, I got to be a fly on the wall at Thanksgiving dinner coming up. That's what I want to see at the Golic household. Hey, by the way, before we get to the game and all the NFL stuff going on, Junior, I saw that you are in Kansas City for the first time, and you asked where to go eat, and you got like hundreds of responses. So I'm just curious where you're going to eat today and if you're taking Dad with you.
I'm going to try and take Dad with me right now. See, this is the issue with Dad is he's so skinny now. I'm never sure if I'm putting too much on his plate, literally. So I want to be respectful of his diet and everything. But, no, I think we're either going to try. The most overwhelming responses I got were for Jack Stack and for Joe's. I have a real affinity for gas station barbecue as someone that got to call games in Oxford, Mississippi. I love getting to go to the stations down there, those Chevrons, and eat gas station fried chicken and grab ribs there. So I've heard about the Z-Boy from Joe's, but I think there's a Jack Stack pretty close by us that might be getting the treatment at lunch.
Okay. All right. Now, Mike Sr., you've been here, I know, and I'm sure a bunch of times, thinking back to your playing days, of course, as well. This stadium, it's one of the loudest, if not the loudest in the NFL. When you think back to your days coming here to Kansas City, whether it's covering a game, being on the field, what is it about this stadium and this fan base that just is different than anything else in the NFL?
The smell. And I haven't called a game here yet, but I played here more than a few times. But it is it is very loud. Without question, I give you that. It is the best-smelling stadium because of all the barbecue I have ever been to. I mean, when we would leave the game before we get on the bus, there were always Kansas City fans were so nice, they would always give us some food to go on the bus.
Really?
So we'd get on the bus, win or lose, and we'd be eating barbecue. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what I love. You step off the bus to go into the game, and people are out tailgating, and that smell is wafting, and you walk out of the stadium after, and the same thing. That's one of the things I will always take from my 9 years in the NFL is how good the stadium smells in Kansas City.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, now the smoke's already out in Kansas City right now, but I think it's because of these Canadian wildfires that we've got blowing down right now. But either way, Arrowhead's going to be a great scene. So you guys, as you're getting ready for the NFL season, you're looking at this team. A lot of people are, the trendy pick. They're going to win the Super Bowl for a second straight year. Senior, as well as anybody how tough it is being on that field, winning, never mind going back-to-back. Is that a likely scenario, or do you think that there's just too much competition in the AFC this year?
Well, the AFC is certainly much deeper than the NFC. Can Kansas City get there again? Yes. I did not pick them to make it there this year. But, one thing you never know, the unexpected, right? All of a sudden you have Chris Jones, who may sit out for 8 games, but all of a sudden after Bosa signs, he said, hey, if we get a deal done now, I can play tonight. No way in hell that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And then you get basically a walk-through practice, half-running routes, and you get your second-best player in Travis Kelce hyperextending a knee. I mean, so you never know when an injury is going to pop up and who else needs to step up. So those are the things that can happen. But overall, I mean, in a deep AFC, this is still, you have to give them their due, the team to beat, no matter how much they keep transitioning their team. I know this year they're starting out week 1 with 7 wide receivers. Last year it was 5, which if Travis Kelce is either limited or not playing, it's going to turn out to be a godsend to have more wide receivers available. So you never know the different things that can pop up. But they're definitely the favorite, and they deserve that.
Junior, what about when you look at the Lions? A lot of people think about the Lions and they think about the doldrums of the NFL, but, they ended last year on a hot streak. They're kind of a trendy playoff pick this year, it seems like. For Chiefs fans that aren't really paying attention to the NFC and they're thinking this game they're going to walk away with, they may. But what is it about the Lions that people are liking this season?
Offensive line. That and what has become of the rest of the NFC North at this point, right? Aaron Rodgers is gone, so now it feels like there's an opportunity for everyone else involved. We don't know if the Bears are ready to get there yet. And so you look at this Detroit Lions team and say, all right, this could be something here. And it's because they set a solid foundation. This was one of the best offenses in football last year. They had one of the biggest coups of the offseason in retaining their offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, who was up for a bunch of head coaching jobs, who did all the interviews, but gets to come back and is one of the most creative run designers in the NFL. And when you've got that group up front with Frank Ragnow and Jonah Jackson and Penei Sewell, they were the strength of that team last year. We've heard all about what they want to do with Jahmyr Gibbs, their first-round running back pick, and you're looking square at the middle of that Kansas City defense and going, all right, well, depth is going to be an issue. Top-end production is going to be an issue without Chris Jones and what's missing in the middle, and it's tailor-made for exactly where this Detroit Lions offense wants to hurt you. Defensively for Detroit, there's going to be a lot of questions, right? That was a group that gave it up in droves last year. They tried to remake their whole back end of that defense this year, and there is no stress test quite like Andy Reid and a Patrick Mahomes-led offense if you want to try and figure out if your pass rush has a chance of getting home and if your back end can hold up. So it's a Lions team that still does have question marks, especially on defense, but offensively, that's a complete product, and they're built to hit Kansas City where it hurts.
Senior, what about Andy Reid? I mean, we know what we've got here in this guy, but, of course, you've been following him forever. When you look at, I hate to do the cliche Mount Rushmore, but when you look at the all-time greats, I mean, where is Andy Reid, and where can he end up with this Patrick Mahomes tandem that they've got going?
Well, he's just going to keep climbing up the ladder, right? He's a Hall of Fame coach. There's no doubt about that. And he'll just keep going up the ladder. You look at other great coaches that had, Belichick and Tom Brady. I mean, that's the first one that comes to mind, and Andy certainly had some success in Philly and then kind of got run out of town for not winning a Super Bowl, even though got to a ton of NFC championship games. It certainly always helps when you have an all-everything player like Patrick Mahomes, but that's what happens. I always hear such the lame excuse, well, if this coach thinks he's that good, I hear this in basketball as well as football, have them go to a bad team and coach them to be a good team. Why? I mean, normally good coaches have great players and they win. That's what happens. So Andy Reid has a window here because they have already turned over some positions on this team where people said, uh-oh, and it's anything but uh-oh for these guys. And when you have a Patrick Mahomes and a play caller in Andy Reid, it's like the perfect match. So even though other players are changing around that, if you can keep that core, and that core would be Mahomes, it would be Kelce, it would be eventually they'll get a deal done with Chris Jones, that's going to give you longevity, and in years you could be at the top of the league.
Gojo and Golic. It's on the DraftKings Network weekday mornings, 7 to 9 Central Time, Samsung TV Plus, DraftKingsNetwork.com. Of course, it's also available wherever you get your podcasts. So, guys, Kansas City today, what do we have planned show-wise for the week as well? And give us a little plug there in terms of what this is all about. People have so many options. You know how it is in media these days. So why is Gojo and Golic the place to be this week?
Yeah, quite frankly, those other options stink, and none of them are going to be broadcasting from the Kansas City Chiefs parking lot in front of Arrowhead Stadium from 4 to 7 p.m. this afternoon. I should say 3 to 6 p.m. local out here. And we're excited. I mean, I don't know. There's not many other shows that are going to provide you the father-son dynamic either. Dad has obviously accomplished a whole lot in this business, as begrudgingly as I say that in public with him around here. And so we're going to just go out there and cut it loose, have fun. We got some other great guests from the DraftKings Network family coming out here. But all football season long, I've always said we want to try and bring our friends. And we've made so many through the years of playing, being involved around the sports media. We're going to try to bring them to you in a way that's entertaining, that feels like you're sitting there kicking it with your family. Because at the end of the day, that's why we're all excited for football season, because it is, as much as cliche as it is, and the NFL says football is family, it's what a lot of us do with our family. It's the tie that binds. And so we want to bring everyone into our living room, and we hope they'll let us into theirs.
Well, there's no doubt. It is a big step up when it comes to quality content versus, and I know you guys won't say it, but what your former employer has been doing lately. So we are thrilled to have you guys here in Kansas City. Looking forward to the show today. Mike Golic Sr., Mike Golic Jr. Check out the new show on the DraftKings Network. Gents, thanks so much for joining us on KCMO.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
You bet. That is Mike Golic Jr. and Sr. Good to have him on KCMO Talk Radio.